Hello, welcome back to this video series here on A Course in Miracles. If you're joining from Enlightened World Network, it's A Course in Miracles 365 Awakening to Love, which, as you may know, began about a year and a half ago as a live stream on the network, and it's still available on their YouTube channel. We're pre-recording and have been doing it, and I'm really glad that we're doing it that way, because I don't have to pull this thing out and distract myself with live comments or lack of live comments, right? Because sometimes it's both. Yeah. It enables me in the pre-recorded format to go deeper. And isn't that the point? Isn't that the point of any spiritual practice, is for you to take a deep dive with yourself? So I'm glad that you've chosen to do that, and I really appreciate your accompanying me on this journey. So we're well into the workbook. In fact, we're nearly at the beginning of the the end of, of the workbook. We're on lesson 346 today. And this, as I read the day's idea before turning on the camera and microphone, I often have a blank slate as I do it, because it's so interesting. When we read these ideas, we think of dozens of different things. And I have the same experience that anyone would have in preparing for a meeting or preparing for a phone call. You replay all in your mind the way you think things are going to go. And of course, it turns out completely differently the majority of the time. So it's fun for me. And as I record these videos, I never know what's going to come up, but I do know that, especially given today's idea in the workbook, it's going to be deep, it's going to be heartfelt, and it's going to be a very direct invitation to you that invites you to cut all the bullshit and cut right to the chase. Isn't that what you really want anyway? And if not, no problem. There's a lot here in the world to keep you distracted. As you may have seen in some of these videos, honestly, A Course in Miracles is some serious shit. It's for sincere and serious students, isn't it? Isn't it? If you've practiced this longer than I have, and many of you have, you know, right? It doesn't mess around. And the cool thing about it is, and this is true of any spiritual tradition, is you can enter it from wherever you are, right? It's an open door, and it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter how deeply or how much conviction you hold about a belief or a non-belief. It doesn't matter what you've said and done. It doesn't matter where you've been. None of that makes any difference, because all we have is right now. And here you are expressing to yourself a sincere wish to learn. That's the little willingness that Jesus talks about in the Course, which is all, incidentally, that the Holy Spirit needs to rush in and fill every void that you believe that you have. All of them, completely. So let's go deep with ourselves today. And again, the idea that we're on today and working with is lesson 346. So cool that we've come so far in this, isn't it? Today, the peace of God envelops me, and I forget all things except his love. All right. Today, the peace of God envelops me, and I forget all things except his love. Today, the peace of God envelops me, and I forget all things except his love. God, of course, is love. Pure abstract love, not what passes for love in the eyes of a lot of rock and roll and country songs, right? That's a one-night stand. Is that truly love? Of course not. You know what we're talking about here. And you also know, if you have seen some of these videos, this is a theme that I continue to come back to because the course comes back to it, and I'm teaching the course. I know, right? Yeah. It keeps coming back to seeking and wanting only the peace of God, which is all that we really have. It's all we need. It's everything. So along the way, we're encouraged to perform these activities, these meditations, these prayers, these practices, these rituals, if you prefer. No matter what your spiritual tradition is, here with the workbook for students in A Course in Miracles, we start with lesson 1 and we go from there. I mean, it builds up to the point where we're reinforcing and repeating certain ideas, such as, I want the peace of God. So what we do is we continue to practice. How do we do this? According to the thought system of A Course in Miracles, we do it with forgiveness, which is our extension of love. It's our extension of love. It's performing miracles. If you want a very simple definition of what a miracle is, it's any switch from fear-based thoughts to loving thoughts. It's any shift from the ego to God, from separation to union or oneness. And also, it's forgiveness. If you want a really, really simple definition of a miracle, forgiveness is a miracle. You are a miracle worker. And the more we practice this, the more we realize that we've changed. Isn't that a beautiful thing? We've changed. We're different if you have honestly and sincerely practiced this material, or any spiritual path for that matter, no matter what background you come from. If you've honestly and earnestly and sincerely practiced your path, your tradition, your traditions, if you have more than one, and you practice all of them, yeah. If you've honestly done that, you'll begin to notice some changes, won't you? I mean, if you've really committed to it, really done it, and persevered, because there is an element of perseverance, of course, right? There is an element of pushing through the bad days where you don't feel like it. If you have a meditation practice, there are going to be days where you sit down and your mind's wandering a 1,000 miles an hour and you're thinking about all kinds of things. You find yourself distracted. Just bring your awareness back to the object of meditation right now in the present moment and let all the other stuff go. Nothing is ever wasted in spiritual practice, which is, it's wonderful. It's glorious. In fact, it's part of the beauty of all of this is everything contributes. A one breath meditation can be just as important as sitting down for 3 hours. Really, it's true. So any form of practice is tremendously beneficial. It's the highest form of offering you can make. Anytime, any place, no exceptions. It's the highest form of offering you can make is your own practice. How do we do this? How do we experience the peace of God? Well, this course gives us a way to do that. Notice I said a way, not the way. There are many doors. A Course in Miracles is but one of them. And that said, this material is both for everybody and not for everybody at the same time. What do I mean by that? It's universal in theme and application. It is but one version, one variant, if you will, one manifestation of what Jesus refers to in the Manual for Teachers here as the universal curriculum. We're all waking up. That's the universal curriculum. How do we do it? There are multiple ways. There are many, many ways that we can do this. There are many doors in which to enter. They all converge on our own awakening. This course is but one. So it is as part of the universal curriculum for everybody. Will the form of it, the content, let's distinguish here between form and content and not get carried away by that, right? The content is the universal curriculum. God is absolute truth. However we approach it, that's the content. The form is what it looks like on the outside. It's what the book is called. It's what the rituals look like. It's what the practices look like. And this can really be anything, can't it? There are many doors. You may practice a traditional religion, you may not. You may practice another more recently manifested version of spirituality. Maybe you practice something that's even more ancient than the traditional world religions, such as shamanism, right? Maybe you practice some of that, or perhaps you have a mix of all of them. And perhaps you're searching legitimately, right? Who hasn't searched, really? In the modern world, with all of world spirituality at our fingertips, it's all available to us. So if you're searching, there's never been a better time than right now to find a path, a practice, a thought system that works for you. And this is but one of them. And it cuts right to the chase, which may appeal to you, and maybe it does not. Maybe you struggle with the fact that this is very direct. Well, it's a very direct approach. And in a lot of ways, it's literal. Truth is true. How about that? It's quite literal. And to the extent that that appeals to you, fantastic. So this is an invitation. This is what this is. It's an invitation to you to go deep, and whatever your practice looks like, whether you follow A Course in Miracles or not, you're watching this video for a good reason. And it may be what I'm about to say. Perhaps it's something that I've already said. Maybe both, maybe both. But I want to extend the invitation to you to go deep with yourself. And it's okay to be afraid. This is the ego fighting back, isn't it? It thinks that everything is opposed to it. Well, nothing, in truth, is opposed to it. It is not real. So I invite you to allow some of these ideas to permeate your mind. This is changing your mind. Is it mind control? Oh, yeah, it is. Of course it is. Because until you change your mind about who you are, who everyone else in this world is, and what the world in fact is for, until you change your mind about that, you will see a continued round of suffering. And even when you do change your mind, all that shit will come back up inevitably. Maybe it's coming up for you right now. Could be, right? Think of it as an opportunity to forgive. Think of it as an opportunity to extend love. Any situation in which you feel uncomfortable or sad or guilty. Any adjective that you associate with a difficult or a, what we call in the world, a negative feeling, is an opportunity for you to extend forgiveness. It's an opportunity for spiritual practice. So each and every one of us is in a process of training our minds to recognize that and then to practice automatically to extend forgiveness until it becomes second nature, habit, until we recognize and we realize the power of our mind to reshape everything that we currently believe. It is that powerful. And it's okay to be afraid of that. What do you do? Well, recognize that you are. Seriously, right? It's very, very important. This is why so many world spiritual traditions have an active practice like meditation, like asana in yoga, like these workbook exercises and practice periods in A Course in Miracles. It's another example, isn't it? Unless we're aware of how we're getting in our own way, how can we possibly expect ourselves to do anything differently? Really, this awareness is a very loving act. It is. It's a loving act. Without it, we want to be different, but we don't know how, and we don't often recognize when we're just getting in our own way. So the awareness that this and other spiritual practices bring is central, isn't it? It's critical. So if you're afraid, it's very good to know that. What do you do then? Well, you recognize it, and then you ask for help. You apply a remedy. You forgive. You give it some thought. You pause to take a deep breath, which may buy you some time before you act on that fear in any number of possibly very unhelpful ways. There are many things that you can do. Spiritual practice, A Course in Miracles, being just one example, aims to help us with this change of mind. So if you have specific questions, please always feel welcome to reach out to me. You are more than welcome to send me an email. It's tomas@tomasgarza.com. You're welcome to visit my website. You're welcome to follow me on social media. I'm more on Facebook and Instagram than the others, but here on YouTube, you're welcome to leave comments. Please feel welcome, if you're so called, to subscribe to this account, because I am at this 5 or 6 days a week on the average. It means a great deal to me to be able to show up and share from my heart, from my life, from my own experience with you. And it's an honor for me to teach this course. Not my interpretation of this course, but this course. See what I'm saying? Not altering it. Yes, I'll produce and share some anecdotes from my own experience, but the content is the same. The form is the same. I'm not changing anything. I don't aim to. So, as always, I really, really thank you for joining me. And I invite you to take Lesson 346 to heart and want only the peace of God and rest in it. Allow yourself to rest just as you are. Thank you.